I want to be clear about where this is coming from before I say anything else. This is not something I noticed once. This is not a hot take. This is not something I woke up angry about. This is a pattern I've heard repeated so many times by so many people in so many roles that I can't ignore it anymore. Teachers say it, parents say it, administrators say it, even students say it, sometimes without having the language for it. We all kind of know this, and yet we keep doing the same thing. So I'm not here to accuse anyone. I'm here because I can't make this make sense anymore, and I want someone to help me understand it. Here's the challenge. We assess students constantly. Reading assessments, math benchmarks, progress monitoring, weekly checks, MAP, iReady, Dibbles, STAR, formative assessments, summative assessments, common assessments. We do it because we believe we need information. That part makes sense. If we don't know where a student is, how could we help them? That logic is reasonable. I don't dispute it. But here's where I get stuck. Do we actually believe that every assessment result represents where a student is? I don't think we do. And I don't think we act like we do. Not honestly. Because we see the data fluctuate in ways that don't match how humans actually grow. A student scores higher, then lower, then higher again. Sometimes by a lot. 20 points, 30 RIT points, whole bands. And no one really believes that child suddenly lost that much ability. No one believes they suddenly gained it either. So what is that data measuring? Because it's measuring something. But it's not measuring a stable trait. It's measuring a moment. It's measuring the day, the mood, the confidence of the students, the pressure, the context, the format, the stakes, the environment. It's measuring how a human performed under a very specific set of conditions. And yet, we often talk about it as if it's truth. We chart it, we compare it, we label based on it, we make decisions around it, and we rarely slow down enough to ask the most basic question. What does this number actually represent? Not in theory, not in training, but in real life. Because here's another part we don't say out loud. If assessment data were as precise as we sometimes act like it is, we wouldn't need to give so many of them. We wouldn't need to keep checking. We wouldn't need to triangulate. We wouldn't need to say, well, this is just one data point. But we do. All the time. Which tells me something important. We don't fully trust the data. We trust patterns over time. We trust trends. We trust professional judgment. The number alone doesn't convince us. The story around the number does. So here's where the challenge sharpens. If we know the data fluctuates, if we know it doesn't map cleanly onto real growth, if we know context matters, why do we pretend the number is neutral? Why do we act like the act of assessing has no cost? Because this is the part I think we avoid. Assessments don't just measure learning. They change the learning environment. They change how students feel. They change how students approach tasks. They change how students see themselves. And I don't think we ask often enough. Does the act of assessing, especially repeated high-stakes assessing, alter the very thing we're trying to measure? Does it affect confidence? Does it affect willingness? Does it affect effort? Does it affect risk-taking? Because if it does, then the data isn't just information, it's intervention. And interventions have side effects. We talk about data like it's passive, like it's just there. But data comes from experiences, and experiences shape behavior. If a student starts to associate reading with testing, or math with judgment, or effort with exposure, then we've changed the task itself. And here's the part that really bothers me. I don't think we're honest about this with kids. We tell them the assessment is just information. We tell them it doesn't define them. We tell them it's no big deal. But then we pull them for interventions, group them, label them, track them, talk about them in meetings, make plans based on it. They notice. They always notice. And then we're surprised when students become anxious, or disengaged, or resistant, or performative. But that response makes sense. Because when everything is measured, everything feels like a judgment. I want to be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying assessment is useless. I'm not saying data doesn't matter. I'm not saying teachers are doing something wrong. I'm not saying schools should stop measuring. I'm asking something simpler and harder. If we don't fully trust what the numbers represent, if we know they fluctuate in ways that don't reflect real growth, if we know the act of measuring changes behavior, then why don't we talk more honestly about the limits of assessment? Why do we keep acting like more data will eventually give us certainty, when what we're really dealing with is human complexity? And here's the part where I genuinely want help. If there is a clear, defensible reason why this system works the way it does, not in theory, but in practice, I want to understand it. If there's a way to explain how repeated assessment helps more than it harms motivation, confidence, or willingness to engage, someone please explain that to me. Because I've tried to make it make sense. I've defended it. I've lived inside it. And at this point, I can't reconcile the contradictions anymore. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not seeing the full picture. But if that's the case, then it's time to explain it clearly. Not just to professionals, but to the people living inside the system. That's the challenge. Not to tear anything down, not to demand a solution. Just to be honest about what we're doing and why we believe it's worth the cost.